and we must look for solutions. Mr. Speaker, the first point I want to make, Mr. Speaker, and I want to speak to the President. The first point, Mr. Speaker, if the President needs to restore respectability, because the public trust on the presidency is at the lowest, Mr. Speaker. If you listen to the X space, even when the President was answering questions, the responses were that we cannot trust him. So the biggest challenge for the President is to win back the public trust, Mr. Speaker. Public trust on the President is at its lowest, Mr. Speaker. So we urge the President to begin by respecting the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. Let him begin by respecting the Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, he can go for the low-hanging fruits. We have seen what this Gen Z generation has been posting on social media. The major attack is on how the President has exercised power before. That is the problem. If we don't acknowledge that as a House, we will not be able to solve the challenges we are facing, Mr. Speaker. The feeling, Mr. Speaker, is that the President has not allowed Parliament, both the Senate and the National Assembly, to carry its duties as an independent institution, Mr. Speaker. Most of these unpopular legislations that triggered these demonstrations were pushed through the two houses. You know about the housing levy that led, it was called Affordable Housing Bill that created the now Affordable Housing Act. It was pushed through, Mr. Speaker. If we had adopted a bipartisan approach, we would have made that law less punitive to Kenyans. Because the cry, if you listen to the young professionals, the young doctors, the young lawyers, they are crying about an invasion on their payslip. Even those who work for Parliament, their cry is that they are facing a government that is raiding their pockets day in, day out. Their pocket was raided in the first budget. Their pocket has been raided in the second budget. Mr. Speaker, this issue of corruption, I want to join my colleague Senator Cheriot that we will not fix it unless we have a radical surgery on EACC, Mr. Speaker. And I will give you an example on what has happened in the county of Nyamira. Mr. Speaker, in the month of August 2022, while we are just in the run-up to the elections, the governor of Nyamira unilaterally paid himself to his account 6.573 million, Mr. Speaker. And I'm speaking here as a person who speaks the truth, and I want to table that payslip before the House. It's here. He paid himself 6.573 billion. A whistleblower, million. The payslip is here, and I beg to table, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when EACC was summoned to Nyamira, instead of recording a statement and taking that governor to court, they got money from him, and then they told him, we can agree, you just refunded the money quietly, Mr. Speaker. What a shame. What a shame, Mr. Speaker. How can that be from a body that is supposed to be fighting corruption, Mr. Speaker? What stops another officer in the county government of Nyamira paying himself, and then when EACC goes, they will say, but you did that to the governor. We also want a settlement, Mr. Speaker. This guy, Governor Amos Nyaribo, Mr. Speaker, should have been arrested, arraigned before a court of law, and a conviction given by the courts, Mr. Speaker. That's the only way you can send a message, Mr. Speaker, that you are intent in fighting corruption. Let me even shock you further, Mr. Speaker, because I've worked with the documents. There was another case, Mr. Speaker. Officers within the county government of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker, hatched a scheme to siphon money from the public coffers of the county government of Nyamira. And they came up with ghost names, whom up to today nobody knows, and they paid them a total of 800,000, Mr. Speaker. These guys were investigated for those offenses, charged with abuse of office. One, Godfrey Kiriago and Geoffrey Nyamagwa, Mr. Speaker.